Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. The tour will last about half an hour and will be covering some 15 kilometers through the historic city center.
So, now it's me talking. This was the official guide. First of all, we will cross the lowest bridge of the city, so please mind your head. Mind the horns. Mind the quadrants. It's very low. Don't stand up, please, otherwise we have a lot of cleaning to do afterwards. Mind your head. Left-hand side, the last known brewery of the city, the brewery, the Halve, still in function as such, still brewing two kinds of lovely beer, the Bruges and the Straffe Hendrik. Very nice beers that win prizes each year on international contests all over the world. At the end we see the beautiful rock house from the 17th century with beyond the Lake of Love. Together with its park next to it, one of the most dramatic spots in this town here.
Under the bridge you can see the locks. Notice that the water level is 1 meter higher on the other side.
Together with the other locks, they control the level of the water inside daily. And so, since the 17th century, we don't have many overflows here. Thanks to this very good system. And now we turn here, and we have a look on the left-hand side, something really beautiful we didn't mention on the right-hand side a few seconds ago. The beautiful Beguinage, a wonderful convent founded in the 13th century. Now, since the last century, no more Beguines are living there anymore. Today, it's occupied by Benedictine nuns and older women that live there now.
The Bruges Begijnhof was a religious community of laywomen run by a groot juffrouw, or grand mistress. In addition to the residents of the groot juffrouw and the other Begijn cottages, the complex included a church, a guest house, a farm, and a brewery. Unlike nuns, the Begijns were not required to take permanent vows.
The beautiful Beguinage. Today, one of the ladies that lives there keeps a guest house inside. That means today a man can stay there at night legally, you see? The brewery is a nice place to visit. At the end of the tour inside you can do the tasting, and after 5 beers you speak all the languages as well. Except your own language. Don't worry, it comes back the next day. Mind your head please, on the low bridge. Don't mention the bloodstains everywhere.
Oh.
Mind your head.
Oh my god.
Over there we have the oldest church in town from the 10th century, St. Saviour's Cathedral, with the most beautiful treasure room inside.
On your left is the St. Jan's Hospital. The oldest parts of the building date from the 12th century. It now houses the Memory Museum and a 17th century pharmacy.
The little houses here next to it were added in the 17th century to collect the dead people, the dead bodies from all over the city during the plague, the Black Death. All the dead bodies are brought along here and dropped from low boats and so carried away outside the city to be burned. It was a horrible period from that moment, all over Europe, by the way. 17th century, 1666, London burned down for 3/4. Especially for this pandemic. Get rid of it. Horrible. Our Breweries homes here besides, little terrace, balcony, lots of flowers around. Nice living like this, good life. The grapes are still there, late vintage. On the left-hand side, beyond the bridge, you see the beautiful Palace of Bruges from the 15th century, today a museum of applied art and archaeology. Above the bridge, on the first floor, you will remain the smallest Gothic window of the city over there, a very tiny little spy window, you see? Tiny window, Gothic style. From out there they watched what was coming down the river. Here they collected the taxes to get into the city. The lords of Bruges, they lived here. Look at these beautiful gargoyles and the wonderful watchtower on top. A most gorgeous palace to visit, the Palace of Bruges.
On your right, you can see the Groningen Museum, which boasts an outstanding collection of southern Netherlandish and Belgian paintings, spanning the period from the 15th to the 20th centuries. Slightly further on is the College of Europe, a postgraduate institution, which provides courses for young academics as part of a program to promote the further unification of Europe.
And on this beautiful walking lane here beside us on the right, you can visit every weekend holiday a most charming flea market. Today it's the last one of the season.
Can I get a deal?
Ah, you can make a deal. Yeah.
Last day of the year.
I bet you find that teapot of your own back here.
Oh, there you go.
Certainly. The big yellow one. The beautiful hotel, the Tuileries on the right-hand side, was a sanatorium before. It became a luxury hotel in the beginning of the last century. The windows were made out of Venetian glass from Murano, Venice.
Nice.
Mind your head, please. In front of us, the old tanner's house from the 17th century, the main tannery in this area at that moment. The water came underneath the workshop. To tan leather, you need lots of water, so they brought the water where they needed it. Workshop, of course. 17th century.
We now have a good view of the Belfry. This magnificent tower stands 83 meters above the Grote Markt. It has 366 steps and houses 47 clocks, which together weigh around 27 metric tons.
The tower is also leaning over to the right, 87 centimeters out of its tax line. Better known as the famous Leaning Tower of Bruges, ladies and gentlemen. Captain? On the left-hand side, beyond the bridge, the backside of the old law courts from the 17th century, now in use as offices for the administration of the city of Bruges. In front of us, the oldest bridge of the city from the 14th century, the May Bridge. 700 years of age, only once repaired in all its life, solid as a rock. Well done, good job. De Meebrug.
The name May comes from Mayka, the Dutch word for madder. In the Middle Ages, the roots of the madder plant were stamped and used as a dye for coloring wool or linen.
This madder plant has been very often transported over this bridge to those manufacturers of textile of that moment. The color they obtained with this madder plant was the kind of red you will see on the house here beyond the bridge on the right-hand side. Oxblood red it's called. Today, one of the official colors of the city of Bruges. On the left-hand side, a beautiful little garden house for your most romantic candlelight dinners.
On the right is an old connecting channel to the canal linking Bruges to the city of Ghent.
The beautiful city of Ghent is about 40 kilometers away from here, 25 miles. In summertime, you can take a boat to Ghent. It takes you 4.5 hours to get there. It's a nice, lazy trip, but it's very amusing. In front of us, the spire of the St. Anna Church from the 17th century, quite sober at the outside, inside, one of the best decorated churches in town. A nice visit to do. And beside us, as well on the left as on the right-hand side, lots of those typical Bruges step gables, step facades. All built in a period spanning the 14th to the 18th century, a building style you will find back from here till in another part of Germany. Even further, over the Netherlands, Amsterdam, we say Copenhagen, Denmark, Oslo, the south of Oslo. And Hamburg, Lübeck, Lüneburg, all Hansa cities that used to do business with Bruges in the 15th century. In front of us we see the spire of the St. Judas Church from the 15th century. It's quite sober at the outside, inside, one of the best decorated churches in town. And beside us, the St. Walburga Church in Baroque style.
In the historic city centre, there are 9 large churches for around 22,000 inhabitants. Greater Bruges has a population of approximately 120,000.
That's correct, but next to the 9 churches you'll find as well 22 chapels and more than 400 pubs and bars for a good balance between Catholics and alcoholics here, very important.
In front of us is the canal which leads out to the North Sea. It's 25 kilometers to Ostend and 18 kilometers to Zeebrugge.
And that was the old way in to this medieval harbour where we're going now, on the left-hand side. In the 15th century, the sea ships, they came from the North Sea and they stopped in the harbour of Damme, that's about 3 miles away from here. Over there, the goods were overloaded in smaller boats that brought these goods into this medieval harbour. The bridges were built in another way, because those little boats, they had a mast. So the center part of the bridge was made out of wood that could be lifted, so those boats could come through.
We are now in what was once the medieval harbour of Bruges. In its day, it was witness to a flourishing trade. Bruges imported food, luxury goods and raw materials, such as iron ore and wood. The return cargoes mainly consisted of finished products such as linen, leather goods, and woolen hose. The building with the tower in front of us is the 15th century Porters' Lodge, so called because it was originally a meeting hall for porters, rich merchants of the medieval city. It was later an art school and is now the municipal archive. In front of the building is a statue of the 15th century painter Jan van Eyck.
And at the end of the street you'll find the first stock market in the world, already founded in the 13th century. Founded by Mr. van der Beurzen. The man gave his name to this institute. Van der Beurzen shortly said, the beurs. The first translation to English was the purse, quite similar. In the most of the other languages, they use the word beurs or in the way of beurs, bourse, borsa, beurze. On the left-hand side here, the beautiful white city palace was the British consulate in the 18th century, now in use as a primary school. And the beautiful White House in front of us, on the corner, that was the house they used for the American movie The Nun Story with Audrey Hepburn. Beyond the house, you will find the place with a flag outside over there, and that's the oldest cafe in town, the oldest pub. A beautiful place that became 500 years old. Do you need umbrellas, please? We have some umbrellas here when you need them. No? If you want, we have some. I'm sorry. You need umbrellas.
Need umbrellas now.
Above the windows and the doors, like on the left, you see those little goblin-like creatures added there to chase away the bad spirits. See them over there as well. Further on, you see a house that has been transformed in the 70s of the last century. On top of the house remained the weather vane representing an architect. Now, Bruges has been very rich in the 15th century, but it was the first harbour in Europe. Then the Spanish came to rule us, and everybody walked away from here, ran away. They went to the north of the country, of the Netherlands. You So they found a little village called Amsterdam, with 800 persons that lived there, 800 people only, but in 150 years' time, they made it the business city #1 of the world. And the Spanish did it, and they didn't do anything, because they couldn't do it. Now have a look on the right-hand side to the White House over there on number 10. This house was built in the 17th century. You can see clearly they were very visionary on that moment. The logo of McDonald's, you see?
Yep.
It's from the 17th century, ladies and gentlemen. This is the proof.
The canals of the historic city centre are called the Rijn and hold fresh water with a depth of between 1.5 and 2 meters. The water is clean enough for fish to live in, mainly eels and carp. The house with the number 8 on our left is an almshouse, known as Godshausen or houses of God. These were the medieval equivalent of sheltered housing. Some were used by guild members as retirement homes or houses for widows, and others were built by rich private citizens as an act of charity for the benefit of deserving old people. They still serve as old people's homes even today.
The pelican above the door is the symbol for generosity. Generosity of those families or guilds that built and supported those houses till the beginning of the last century. Then it was taken over by the city, by it altogether. This is a nice view here in front of us on the oldest bridge, the side of the bridge that hasn't been repaired yet. Beyond you see that law courts with the 4 open spires on top, used for the carrier pigeons in the 17th century. Also during the Second World War, they were used to send civil messages to London by the resistance. The same thing happened from Dunkerque and Calais in France as well. On the right-hand side, the amazing statue of the lady that is still desperately seeking for her contact lenses.
On the left, we're now passing the fish market, which dates from the 19th century. Only a small part of the complex is still in regular use.
In front of us, the beautiful houses with a wooden facade, built in 1920 like the houses were built in the 15th century on that moment, forbidden due to the high risk of fire. Houses of wood, narrow streets, that wasn't such a good thing, combination. So they started building in bricks only, like the house next door. The house of the first Spanish governor of the city of Bruges at the end of the 16th century. Señor Don Pérez de Malvinda was his name. He was also the resident for the Spanish king when he came to the Netherlands, Filipe II. Now the place is better known as a famous beer pub, the Beer Wall. More than 600 different sorts of Belgian beer inside.
That's where we're going.
Easy to get there. But to get away, sir, you need character. Right ahead, please. It's a nice place to visit. The concept of the house is very beautiful. You can visit all.
The Onze Lieve Vrouwenkerk in front of us has a brick tower and is 122 meters high. Among its many treasures are a Virgin and Child by Michelangelo in white marble, and the mausoleums of Charles the Bold and his daughter, Mary of Burton.
And the beautiful statue made by Michelangelo inside the church is the only piece of work of this great Italian artist that is exposed permanently outside of Italy. Here you see this wonderful church of the Holy Lady.
In front of us is the Bonifacius Bridge, and beyond the bridge, on the right, we can enjoy another fine view of the Onze Lieve Vrouwenkerk.
On the left-hand side, a beautiful little house with a wooden facade, today a most charming and romantic guest house. So on the left you have this beautiful guest house. On the right-hand side, the huge church, the highest church ever built in bricks only, 122 meters high, with small bricks of 5 centimeters. Can you imagine how many million bricks still on there? And the little guest house, the best place for the honeymoon night. There's a guy from Bruges, he was already 16 times there. And he survived. He's still alive today.
How'd you make it out?
Well, we've now come to the end of our tour. It's customary to tip the skipper, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your stay in Bruges.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Please pay attention for your hands. Keep them in the boat during the docking. Enjoy your stay. Thanks for the visit. Thanks for the appreciation. First, I will tie the boat to the bridge so you can leave the boat without making a split.